Thanks for viewing and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, subscribe so you don't miss the latest uploads. Now let's get started. The story continued when another hunter, who previously mocking one of Han's team members, pressures him to join one of the teams and even dared to challenge him. Han's great presence quickly quelled the dissent. The intimidated challenger then hesitated and eventually backed down under the weight of Han's aura. Surrounded by a mixture of fear and disbelief, the hunter who had initially questioned his rank couldn't help but express his fear at this moment. The hunter's teammates mistakes Han's energy as their leaders, but he quickly corrects them, stating it's not him exuding such aura. Aware of the association's watchful eyes, he decides to let the situation slide and leaves with his teammates. Lee is saddened by the turn of events. Han observes the atmosphere and suggests they enter the gate since it seems no one else will join. Shockingly, Lee questions if it's just the two of them and our hero confirms that it is. A few minutes later, they enter the tower's gate, leaving Lee in disbelief. Han reassures him not to be nervous, claiming he can handle most D-ranked hunters alone. However, when Lee asks if this is his first dungeon, he tells him it is. Lee addresses the seriousness of dungeon exploration, pointing out that it's a matter of life and death. He asks Han about his thoughts on the death rates of E and C rank hunters, to which Han remains silent. Lee then explains the misconception that E-ranked hunters, aware of their weakness and ability, are cautious, while C-ranked hunters, overconfident in their power, have a higher death rate. Lee compares dungeon exploration to driving, emphasizing that overconfidence leads to higher accident rates. Expressing concern, Lee points out they also lack a tanker and healer, and Han's overconfidence worries him about their safety. Han agrees, and Lee, despite being an E-ranked hunter, offers his experience to lead the party for safety reasons. Han, though initially wanting to lead, agrees, appreciating Lee's concern for their safety. As they encounter a lizard man, Lee, aware of its weapon skills, decides to draw out the monster while Han aims for an opening. However, the situation becomes a standoff. Han, feeling pressured by time due to his limited return to Earth, intervenes and swiftly defeats the lizard man. He apologizes for rushing and asks Lee to let him lead from now on. As Han efficiently deals with incoming lizard men, Lee is impressed by how one-sided the fight has become, and perceives this as a fight of a super rookie. After Han collects monophyll cores from the defeated lizard men, which are beneficial for alchemy or crafting, he stores them in Lee's bag. Lee apologizes for not being more helpful, referring to himself as a bad boy. All of a sudden a giant lizard man attempts to stab Han from behind, but he skillfully dodges the attack and delivers a powerful punch, lodging the creature's head into the roof. After seeing such a feat, Lee suggests saving the discussion of what he just witnessed for later in order to maintain to the task of the raid. Han, pretending to yawn, absorbs the souls of the defeated lizard men, realizing that increasing proficiency with ranked monsters is becoming challenging. Suddenly, the boss room gate appears, surprising Han. With only the two of them, Lee doubts the success of a half-cleared dungeon but believes Han can complete it. Han proposes entering the boss's room, and Lee agrees, while expressing concern about Han's need for a break. Han assures him that he's fine, and they proceed, finding the king of the lizard men seated on his throne. Lee anxiously questions Han's plan, to which Han admits he doesn't have one as he goes rushing toward the lizard king. The lizard king attacks Han with increasing speed, and despite finding it unusual for its size, Han dodges the attacks. Attempting to stab the king, he gets hit by its tail, slamming into the wall. Lee is terrified, but Han quickly gets up, having absorbed the damage using one of his saved souls. Smiling, he remarks that the monster should be this challenging to properly test his new skills. He informs the Lizard King that its throne is broken, feeling it foreshadows something bad. In response, the king furiously blows out a beam, with the effect of immobilizing Han. The system activates the slow movement skill, reducing his speed by 25%. Han counters by activating the forceful breakthrough skill, breaking the chains and negating the effects of slowness. The Lizard King is shocked, and Han is pleased with the performance of the skill he synthesized. Meanwhile, Lee is seen tied with magic chains, unable to move, and urgently asks for Han's help as the Lizard King rushes to kill him. Han, realizing he won't reach Lee in time, summons the undead to stop the Lizard King, but they are easily broken. In a quick moment, he uses the Wind's Grace skill 6 times, increasing his movement speed by 60%. Han swiftly cuts the Lizard King into pieces, resulting in the system notifying the boss's defeat and the next boss appearing in 14 days. As Han absorbs the Lizard King's soul, his stats exponentially increase, and he gains a new skill, Spiritual Eyes, allowing him to see hidden attacks during a match. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, a team leader, bored with nothing special happening despite 3 gates opening simultaneously, anticipates the association's raid team arriving soon to finish the clearing of the gate. He wonders why his team doesn't receive commissions despite being from the same association and expresses jealousy toward other raid teams. The team leader considers the possibilities of a bonus if the advanced party clears the gate in one go, but he deems it crazy unless they have an A-rank hunter. Outside the gate, Han and Lee encounter the team leader, who assumes they barely cleared half of the dungeon. However, he is shocked to see the gate's color turn gray, indicating they completed the dungeon. Shin asks Han if it's true, and Han questions who he is to ask such a question. Shin apologizes for the rudeness and introduces himself as the team leader of the Hunter Association Gate Management Team. When Lee asks if Shin came to purchase the gate's ownership, he confirms and expresses his intention to make an offer. Lee defers the decision to Han, stating that he is actually responsible for the raid of the dungeon by himself. Shin is surprised and assumes Han must be an A-rank hunter, but Han corrects him, revealing his C-rank status. Han urges them to get to the point and asks how much they are offering for the gate's ownership. Shin proposes 1.2 billion won, leaving Han shocked. Meanwhile, another hunter, Haein, is exhausted from non-stop work after returning from the Tower of Trials. Haein, a team leader for the Tower of Trials management team, felt the weight of exhaustion as she grappled with her current assignment. Tasked with recruiting challengers operating in secrecy, she found the endeavor far from easy. Her struggle manifested in the meager count of 10 individuals, all opting for the path of least resistance by choosing the easy difficulty level. The measly result left her disheartened, realizing it fell short of the expectations set by her superiors. In a moment of reflection, Haein regretfully acknowledged her oversight in not extending an offer to Han. She recalled him as a formidable individual that nearly single-handedly was responsible with conquering the challenges of the 4th floor. Recognizing the missed opportunity, she found herself at a crossroads. To her surprise, a late-night call disrupted her contemplation. It was a text from Han, proposing a meeting later on. At a local cafe, Han completed a transaction, selling the gate to Shin and pondering the possibility of buying a house with the proceeds. As Haein joined him, he nonchalantly questioned if she had run to get there, assuring her that she needn't have hurried. In response, Haein, clearly frustrated by the lack of a prompt reply to her messages, expressed her impatience during the wait for his response. Han apologizes for missing Haein's message, explaining his lack of interest in such matters. She accepts it and playfully insists that he owes her a coffee and cheesecake, to which Han agrees. When she inquires about his tower climbing, Han shares that he plans to continue. He contacts her because he has a favor to ask. He needs a guild placement that allows him to enter the tower at will and raid dungeons. Han specifies his conditions, including the authority to decline guild summons, the guild's non-involvement in his tower activities, and the right to use guild dungeons whenever he pleases. As he asks if such a guild exists, he senses a change in the mood, wondering if he has asked for too much. Haein explains that the conditions are impossible from the guild's perspective, as they gain nothing. Realizing his mistake of not looking at it from the guild's perspective, Han agreed that this would definitely be asking too much. However, to his surprise, Haein holds his hand and invites him to join her White-Silver Guild, assuring him that she can make his seemingly impossible conditions a reality. Later, while lying on a bus, Han reflects on having such a productive day, raiding dungeons, selling items, and even joining a guild. He acknowledges one more task on his to-do list, clearing a C-rank dungeon solo, resulting in meeting the standards set by Heian's superiors. Heian had mentioned that only a select few could benefit from the White-Silver Guild's dungeons, typically rising stars or hunters the guild had high expectations for. Han requested a C-rank dungeon to clear by himself, and Heian assured him that she would ensure he wouldn't regret his decision. The next day, as Han saw Chunbo Mountain, the location of the dungeon, from the bus, he decided to run the remaining distance to warm up. Simultaneously, Heian arrived at the dungeon to make reservations for a gate raid. The managing team informed her that there was still plenty of time, and she could sit under the tent. However, just as she was about to sit, Han arrived with incredible speed, causing a shockwave. Han apologized while preventing the chairs from flying away. Heian was shocked at the gust of wind he created just by running. After finishing the proceedings, Heian informed Han that they could start the gate raid immediately. Han, ready to prove his abilities, followed her into the dungeon. Inside, they found themselves in fields, and Han asked her to signal him if she felt in danger. Heian, wearing an artifact called the Empress's Necklace provided by the guild, explained its abilities: a shield, stealth, and aggro attraction. She planned to stay far away to make it seem like she was helping him, expressing gratitude for the protection afforded by Heian's necklace, readily agreed to the task at hand. With a sense of assurance, he dashed away, activating the spiritual eyes skill he had absorbed from the Lizard King. This newfound ability allowed him to detect invisible enemies closing in on their position. As the concealed monsters approached, Han's agility came alive. With a swift leap, he skillfully dodged the advances of 3 deadly poisonous demons, swiftly turning the tide in his favor. Heian, observing his exceptional combat skills, found her decision to invite Han into the dungeon was indeed the right choice. While demons keep appearing, Han, caught in the fray, unexpectedly triggers his seldom-used lightning effect. Amidst the chaos, a demon lunges at him from behind, but he narrowly evades, seizes its tail, and hurls it against a wall. Clearing the area, Han signals to Heian that it's safe to approach. Astonished, she sees that he navigated through an irregular dungeon, vanquishing deadly creatures typically tackled in groups by C-rank hunters. She envisions Han's rapid growth surpassing his current abilities. Absorbing the demon's souls bolsters Han's stats, making him confident about facing the boss. As he and Heian enter the boss room, she senses something strange, questioning how they missed the monster's presence. The creature strikes from above, but Han swiftly shields Heian. Running away, he carries her, evading a devastating beam with Heian's timely warning. He justifies his actions, emphasizing the danger, and she, grateful, offers assistance, but he declines, opting for a solo confrontation. Prepared for a battle, he leaps towards the monster, determined to prevail without additional buffs. He activates instant acceleration, and with the fast boot's exclusive effect, his momentary speed surges. Simultaneously, Wind Grace boosts his movement speed by 70%. As the boss readies another attack, Han swiftly closes the distance, executing 3 strikes to defeat the dungeon's boss, the demon of the blue fire of destruction. Heian, elated but puzzled about the monster's identity, praises Han's quick dungeon clearance. Exiting the boss room, she commends him, stating he's now eligible to explore the White-Silver Guild's dungeons. Heian emphasizes the Tower of Trials difficulty dynamics, suggesting Han will likely continue to face deadly challenges. She urges caution, expressing a desire to witness his continued growth over the years. Later, sitting on a rooftop, Han prepared to re-enter the Tower of Trials in just 5 minutes, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past 3 days. The frenetic pace left him feeling accomplished. Not only had his stats seen a significant boost, but he also found a newfound sense of confidence. As he geared up for another venture into the tower, a prompt appeared, offering him the chance to accept the 8th floor as his next trial. Eager to test his mettle, he accepted the challenge. The system then presented him with a choice. He had to decide on the nature of the trial: transcription, combat, or raid. Considering his goal to enhance his proficiency in necromancy, Han opted for combat, recognizing it as the path to furthering his skills. To his surprise, the system revealed that he held a pioneer qualification, granting him the privilege of a face-to-face chat with an administrator. Caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events, Han felt a jolt of surprise when the system initiated the search for an administrator specializing in combat. As the search concluded, the system announced that the upcoming chat would be with the administrator known as Iron-Blooded Monarch. With a sense of anticipation and curiosity, he prepared for the encounter. However, what followed exceeded his expectations. In a sudden and mysterious transition, he found himself transferred to the Iron Blood world. The status window signals the completion of the search, initiating a chat with the combat specialist administrator, Iron Blood Monarch. Han, upon arrival, surveys the surroundings, questioning if this is the Iron Blood world. The status window confirms his entry into this world as he activates the Eyes of Truth. It clarifies that this realm, the residence of the administrator, Iron Blood Monarch, is exclusive, barring entry to the uninvited. RMC becomes notified that the administrator is displeased by his search. He looks on at the unexpected emotional messages from an admin directed by a magical sword. He follows it, eventually reaching a house. The status window updates, stating the administrator, Iron Blood Monarch, observes him. Seated, she welcomes him, revealing her role as the interviewer. Han notes her beauty, contrasting it with her administrative position in the Tower of Trials. She approaches, remarking on his normal appearance, having expected a more monstrous figure after his impressive performance on the 4th floor. He inquires if she has been monitoring his trials, and she clarifies that she only knows the results, as observing challengers below the 8th floor is impossible. He marvels at the limitations even for an admin. She dispels the notion that admins are omniscient gods, emphasizing their subordination to the tower and assuring him there's no need to be overly nervous. Transitioning to the purpose of the interview, she explains that it's a privilege for pioneers like him, allowing him to ask any questions without using a question voucher. Han seizes the opportunity, questioning the motives of the otherworldly challenger on the 5th floor and why they targeted his specific level. She dismisses any specific reason, noting that invading other floors yields additional rewards and benefits. Explaining that otherworldly challengers are seasoned individuals in the tower for decades, she reveals that defeating them brings substantial rewards and contributes to the eventual merging of the towers of different worlds. Han seeks clarification on the merging of towers, and Iron Blood Monarch confirms the notion, noting that after the 20th floor, combined trials involving challengers from other worlds become more common. He speculates if this is an attempt to eliminate potential competitors early. Iron Blood Monarch questions if that was his only inquiry, and he has one final question: what is the Tower of Trials? She discloses that admins were once challengers, and those who perish after the 40th floor gain the authority to revive and become admins. Although she, like him, aspired to reach the top, she couldn't. Admins, including her, died without reaching the summit, leading to their current roles. When he questions if admins were originally challengers, she becomes agitated, lifting him by the neck and asserting that Tower's top isn't a casual topic. However, he remains composed, noting the interview's stated benefits and the absence of killing intent. She casts a spell, throwing him away. Prepared, he unsheathes his sword, declaring he won't let her attack him so easily. She acknowledges his courage and decides to form a disciple contract with him.
The status window reveals his entry to the 8th floor lobby, where he accesses the contractor's exclusive store. With SP 100,000 and Iron Blood Monarch as the contractor, he accepts the sponsorship contract. The status window confirms the establishment of the contract, creating a store where SP can be used and boosting all stats by 1, due to the contractor's bonus. Iron Blood Monarch, amused, expresses anticipation for future interactions and bids farewell. The status screen reveals the opening of the contractor's exclusive store category authority. Han reflects on potential ranks within the store's authorities, pondering if the 8th floor unique authority differs from these. Wanting to explore further, he attempts to check the next page but learns he lacks the right to do so until the lobby of the 10th floor. 3 available authorities are presented. Serene Mind, priced at 1,000 SP, allows rational decision-making in any situation, halving the duration of status effects like anger and confusion while increasing combat engagement. Iron-Blooded Soul, at 65 SP, enhances weapon-based skills proficiency by 2.32 times and provides a 10% starting proficiency boost for new skills. King of Winter, priced at 800 SP, grants temporary stat increases in cold environments and eliminates the sensation of cold. He contemplates the choices and decides against saving SP, opting to purchase Serene Mind. The status screen confirms the purchase, deducting 1000 SP, and explains the authority's description. Han believes enhancing his chances of survival is wise, given the potential for floor invasions. Prompted to accept the 8th floor trial, he enters the portal. The status screen notifies the trial's commencement with a difficulty level of difficulty. The goal is to defeat the Lich summoning skeletons, with success granting a stat boost of +2 and failure resulting in death. Inside, confronted by numerous skeletons, he exclaims, "Why are there so many of them?" Observing the overwhelming numbers of skeletons, Han contemplates their tactic and decides to initiate his attack. Leaping from a mountain, he lands amidst the skeletons, which swiftly move to engage him. Despite the initial difficulty in breaking through their ranks, he starts attacking and finds the skeletons surprisingly weak. The status screen notifies a meager proficiency increase of 0.08%, eliciting frustration from Han. Realizing the slow progression, he abandons the idea of improving proficiency during this trial. A voice interrupts, questioning the intruder and expressing outrage at the disruption in their sacred grounds. Han searches for the source and uses his power to absorb the dead. The status window updates, indicating the absorption of 130 skeleton souls. Unexpectedly, a skeleton hurls a stone at its companion. Han notes the usefulness of the skeleton soldiers and decides to leave the area to them while he searches for the boss. Activating Wind's Grace, increasing movement speed by 60%, he swiftly moves away, benefiting from the Fast Boot C+ exclusive effect and momentarily accelerating his speed. Spotting a temple ahead, Han exclaims, "Over there," as he rushes toward it, discovering the boss skeleton. The boss skeleton, offended by a human intruding into its sacred land, declares retribution and summons monsters, noting they're on par with the sand golem. He questions why he can't summon anything stronger, expressing disappointment. Han, receiving a sword from the system, remains unimpressed. The boss skeleton calls him a crazy human, confident that it and its guardian are sufficient to defeat him. As the monsters approach, he activates instant acceleration, swiftly eliminating them. The boss skeleton, astonished, attacks Han, increasing his proficiency by 1.2%. Han realizes the undead significantly boosts his proficiency. As they clash, he contemplates the boss skeleton's ability to summon any monster at will. Curious, he asks if he can summon another guardian. The boss skeleton, puzzled, questions the inquiry. Han suggests ending the fight if it's not possible. He asserts the possibility and warns Han not to come closer. Han, determined, asks when he can summon the guardian monster. In the midst of the confrontation, the boss skeleton disclosed a formidable ability, the power to summon guardians shortly after their demise. Meanwhile, he suggested an immediate summoning, challenging the boss skeleton's belief that they stood no chance against him. Weary and contemplating the end, the boss skeleton questioned the purpose, wondering if he should terminate the battle. Unyielding, Han insisted on the summoning. The boss skeleton reluctantly obeys, opening the book to commence the ritual. Just as he uttered, "That's enough," Han disagrees, asserting that this was only the beginning. Pushing the limits, he delivered a swift kick, compelling the boss skeleton to call forth all available skeletons that remained unscathed. With determination, the boss skeleton summoned more monsters, presenting a relentless wave for Han to face. Undeterred, he swiftly dispatched each creature. Seeking an end to the seemingly endless cycle, the skeleton posed the question of how long this must continue. Han's response echoed with coldness, stating, "Until I say stop." Facing a formidable monster, Han halts it with magic, swiftly dispatching it. The status window updates, indicating proficiency increase of 1.2%, and the unique trait, Necromancy, reaching 100%, thereby advancing by 1 rank to C. Feeling the magical energy around him, he acknowledges his newfound C rank necromancy, the boss skeleton, acknowledging the demon's fear and the impending curse after its death, notes the widening crack, implying its impending demise. Expressing disappointment, it mentions a sickening encounter with Han. The status screen announces the achievement, a human beyond a demon, raising agility by 1 and absorbing the Lich's soul, boosting proficiency by 17.4%, receiving rewards for completing the 8th floor. Han's stats increase by 2, gaining 30,000 points, 700 SP, and 300 SP. Transitioning to the 9th floor lobby, the system finalizes, with moderators now able to observe the trial. Restrictions on the question voucher are lifted, and he can purchase C-rank skills from the skill shop. The status screen details his recent progress and provides information on the necromancy unique traits proficiency effects. Reflecting on the ability to absorb skills, he remarks on its deceptive nature, particularly inheriting proficiency, deeming it a scam. Reflecting on the revealed probability of skill absorption, Han acknowledges the somewhat uneventful end to the 8th floor trial but remains uncertain about the 9th floor. Recognizing the need for proper preparation, he contemplates using his sword more effectively. The challenge lies in his defense skills. The status screen presents the Hunter Dagger skill, designed for efficient hunting, increasing cutting force by 2.5 times and enhancing dagger technique knowledge. Having maxed out the Hunter Dagger skill, Han decides he needs a sword skill to replace it. He purchases basic swordsmanship for 25,000 points. The skill increases basic understanding of swordsmanship and boosts the cutting force of wielded swords by 1.5 times. Notably, this increase won't stack with another weapon skill. Considering the synthesis to enhance the Hunter Dagger skill's rank, Han chooses basic swordsmanship for synthesis. The status window notes a level mismatch, centralizing the synthesis around the Hunter Dagger skill. The synthesis progresses, reaching 75%, and he opts to proceed. The completed synthesis yields a new skill, Demon Slayer. This skill, designed for slicing demons, increases basic swordsmanship knowledge and triples the cutting force of bladed weapons. The sub-effect enhances attack speed 2-fold when fighting non-humans. Han reflects on the newly acquired Demon Slayer skill, noting its effectiveness against non-humans. Pleased with the results of skill synthesis, he contemplates synthesizing the remaining skills. Checking skill compatibility and synthesis probability, the status window provides information on Iron-Blooded Regeneration and Ashen Blood. Iron-Blooded Regeneration combines fast recovery and resistance to the laws of nature. Ashen Blood, a transcendent trait developed by a mutant vampire, increases regeneration proportionally to tenacity, triples regeneration when physical damage is inflicted, and nullifies up to 40% of pain based on the damage. Han deems the combination a scam, but intrigued. He decides to test it in the lobby, where he previously couldn't due to the regeneration effect. Paying 50 points to remove the regeneration effect, he prepares to experiment with the combined traits. Acknowledging that with absorbed souls, there's no chance of a shield activating, he tests the abilities. He collects his magic, appreciating the remarkable regeneration and soul shield combination. Pleased with the results, he plans to use the skill until it breaks, feeling it's sufficient for his needs. With nothing special to consider in the community and no more time to wait, he enters the portal, reaching the 9th floor of the Tower of Trials. The difficulty is hard, and the trial involves a fight. He has 1 day to kill all the monsters in the arena, with death or running out of time as the failure conditions. Han receives the trial details for the 9th floor, with the completion reward being the skill Beast's Instinct and death as the penalty for failure. Suddenly, a system warning alerts him that the trial is currently unsafe as a challenger from the Miram world has invaded, extorting the trial goal.
Will RMC be able to survive the 9th floor? How will he be able to defeat this new foreign player that not only plans stealing RMC's clearance reward, but his life? Find out on the next upload. Also remember to like and subscribe and tell us in the comments what other manhwa summaries you would like us to upload. Once again, thanks for watching.